My name is Diego Rinallo. I'm very happy to present these two chapters based on the HIPAMS India project, which was funded by a 3-year British academic grant involving Coventry University and an Indian social enterprise, banglanatak.com. In the project, we developed what we call the HIPAMS, Heritage-Sensitive Intellectual Property and Marketing Strategies, with 3 heritage bearer communities of folk artists in India. The project, possibly for the first time, brought together expertise in facilitating the safeguarding of ICH, the protection of intellectual property rights of the heritage bearer communities, and insights from marketing and consumer culture. The first chapter, titled Promoting Sustainable Development Through Intangible Cultural Heritage, the co-creation of HIPAMS with bearer communities, we report the theoretical and practical insights from our work. We explained the HIPAMS process and discussed the key elements in this conceptual model. The second chapter is titled Co-developing heritage-sensitive intellectual property and marketing strategies with bearer communities, the case of Bengal Patachitra, India. Patachitra is a form of ICH in West Bengal, India, and it's practiced by artist communities known as patuas, who paint a story on a sari-backed paper scroll and perform the story through songs called Patergana. In this chapter, we report how we co-designed and implemented the HIPAMS with these artists, as well as the outcomes of our intervention.
My name is Harriet Deacon, and I'm a visiting research fellow at Coventry University, part of this project. The HIPAMS approach is a response to concerns about problems such as over-commercialization, decontextualization, or misappropriation that have been identified when tangible heritage products and services enter the market. But it's also true that there could be positive effects of the market, as the Foodware project found that lack of appropriate remuneration or market control can also have negative consequences. So this poses the question, how can communities benefit equitably from market engagement around their ICH that at the same time helps to safeguard it? So what makes HIPAMS innovative is not just that it tries to address this problem, but that it's collaborative. HIPAMS aim to really be bottom-up strategies co-developed with artist communities to meet identified community needs. And secondly, the strategies are interdisciplinary. They aim to bring together insights from different disciplines, including marketing, heritage safeguarding, and intellectual property law. And then they are also multifaceted. We looked at 4 different categories of types of interventions relating to community empowerment, heritage repertoire, heritage-sensitive innovation, and reputation. And finally, the strategies are practical. As Diego said, they developed interventions that are specifically tailored to community needs. And the second chapter in the volume details strategies that the community wanted to implement, including strategies around community education about digital marketing and IP rights, development of a collective marketing platform, expansion of a local festival, and assistance with labeling and packaging.
I am Benedetta Ubertazzi. I am a UNESCO facilitator for the 2003 convention, a lawyer in Milan, and an aggregate professor at the University of Milan Bicocca for European Union and International Law. So what we did was actually supporting communities to develop an intellectual property right strategy to better protect and empower communities, also in relation to their marketing purposes. So intellectual property rights became a tool to support marketing strategies of the communities and better safeguard their heritage. And as Harriet just mentioned, this is why this project is innovative, because it is interdisciplinary. With regard to intellectual property rights, communities expressed their needs and their willingness to adopt certain intellectual property rights rather than others. So it is very, very important to develop an intellectual property rights strategy together with their interested communities and actually just supporting them rather than imposing them certain conventional or sui generis IP rights, because in that case the strategy won't work, it will fail. So we all know that intellectual property rights may be very difficult to enforce, and therefore we took into account these enforcement difficulties when supporting communities to once again adopt certain intellectual property rights rather than others. In the concrete cases, the intellectual property rights adopted were more of a collective nature, such as, for instance, geographical indications, collective trademarks, but also certain individual intellectual property rights were suggested to communities and actually were adopted by the same communities to better support their sustainability, such as copyright or performance rights. Creative Commons licenses were also adopted to better promote and safeguard the heritage at stake. And all of this in perfect line with the UNESCO ICH Convention, and in particular the operational directives that mention intellectual property rights as a tool that facilitate sustainable development for communities, in particular of an economic, but also social and environmental nature.
The project did contribute to SDG 1, the elimination of poverty, because it helped community artists to maintain their incomes even during COVID, very difficult times for them to earn a living, and also helped in the furtherance of SDG 8 on decent work, because they were able to take more control of their own marketing and manage their relationships with customers through ethical guidelines and, as Benedetta said, through protection of their intellectual property. It also seems that the project contributed to SDG 11, sustaining of cultural heritage, because it helped communities to represent the value of their heritage better to consumers, and it actually encouraged them to practice their own cultural heritage, such as singing traditions associated with Bhattacharya more strongly. And finally, the promotion of natural dyes in the paints, for example, in the Bhattacharya case, helped to contribute to SDG 15 on terrestrial environmental sustainability.